Good morning and welcome to the Massachusetts Safe Routes to School webinar on achieving sustainability and community buy-in for Safe Routes to School programs. My name is Ben Hammer and I'm the statewide coordinator for the Massachusetts Safe Routes to School program at Mass Rides. I'll be your moderator for the event. Now, before we get going, I just have a couple quick tips on how to enjoy your webinar a bit better. We ask that you keep your phone muted throughout the rest of the presentation. So if you've not already done so, please mute your phone by pressing *6. Thank you. Now, if you missed any portion of our presentation today, don't worry. It's being recorded and will be accessible for future playback on our website, commute.com. For optimal viewing, we recommend that you enter full screen mode. And this is real simple to do. Just press the Alt and Enter keys on your keyboard or click the full screen button at the bottom left of your screen. Again, that's Alt and Enter keys on your keyboard or click the full screen button at the bottom left of your screen. Massachusetts Safe Routes to School is a free service of the Massachusetts Department of Transportation. We promote healthy alternatives for children and parents in their travel to and from school through education, encouragement, enforcement, evaluation, and engineering components. To those whose schools are already Safe Routes to School partners, we welcome you. And for those whose schools are not yet partners, we invite you to join the over 350 schools across the state who are. To do so, simply call your Safe Routes to School Outreach Coordinator at 1-888-4COMMUTE, and we'll discuss how you can become a partner and all the great resources we can help you guys set up with. Now I'd like to introduce Anna Isaacson, who will give an introductory presentation. Anna is a Safe Routes to School Outreach Coordinator here at Mass Rides, so take it away.
Thanks, Ben, and hello, everyone. Today we're going to discuss how to achieve sustainability and community-wide buy-in for Safe Routes programs. Safe Routes to School encourages students and parents to make a change in their everyday behavior. Buy-in from the entire community can help to bring about the mentality shift needed to effect this behavioral change. We hope that this webinar will give you some ideas about who to approach as you seek the support of your entire community. Let's look at this list of Safe Routes to School's goals, and it is a long list. Safe Routes to School programs make the school environment safer. They reduce congestion around schools, saving school staff arrival dismissal headaches. They save schools money by reducing the need for hazard busing. They improve students' health by helping them get closer to the recommended 60 minutes of exercise per day. Safe Routes to School can reduce air pollution by taking cars off the road, and these programs also increase students' sense of responsibility and teach bicycle and pedestrian safety skills. Safe Routes to School can help create pedestrian and bicycle-friendly communities, and finally, these programs help strengthen community ties through volunteerism and through increased opportunities for interacting with neighbors. So if you're not already overwhelmed by the number of issues that Safe Routes to School is positioned to address, this slide might do the trick. Don't worry, we're not going to go through this slide in great detail. If you want to study it more closely, you can write to your Safe Routes to School Outreach Coordinator. Instead, we'll look at the overall message this slide sends about the potential for coalitions built around Safe Routes to School. So on the top of this chart, you'll see each of the goals we just discussed. Along the left-hand side, you'll see a list of potential coalition members. So we have school-based individuals, parents, teachers, and principals. We also have town-based individuals, such as public health professionals, town planners, and police officers. Other potential stakeholders include physicians, YMCA employees, college students, and so forth. Each potential coalition member receives a mark for every goal they share with Safe Routes to School. And that's a lot of shared goals, and shared goals are the basis of successful coalitions. Before we hear from our guest speakers, I'd like to give you a couple brief examples of what this can look like in practice. In Holyoke, an after-school program and a local YMCA work together to establish a vibrant Safe Routes to School program. A couple parents lead daily walking school buses to a neighborhood elementary school. At the end of the school day, the staff at Homework House, an after-school program, leads walking school buses from the elementary school to Homework House. The YMCA supports these efforts by offering free bicycles and bicycle repairs with bikes, parts, and time donated by community members. The group includes city planners and community advocates in their efforts. In Newton, every elementary school has a designated Safe Routes to School coordinator. In addition to their Safe Routes efforts at their respective schools, the coordinators meet once a month to discuss common challenges and best practices. Town planners, police representatives, and local bicycle and pedestrian advocates also participate in these meetings. The Newton Safe Routes to School Task Force has helped schools design better drop-off procedures, helped schools apply for bike racks through the Metropolitan Area Planning Council Bike Parking Program, been a strong advocate for the establishment of a snow removal ordinance, and helped schools address a variety of other problems. So you can see that the diversity of potential stakeholders means that there is no correct and infallible path to community-wide buy-in. Every community is different. Your creativity will be your best tool. And with that, I'd like to hand the microphone back to Ben, who will introduce our speakers.
Thank you, Anna. So our speakers today are all experienced coalition builders from Massachusetts communities. First, we'll hear from Marciszyn and Caitlin Hurley. Lauren is the Youth and Community Wellness Director at the Vernon Family Branch of the Hockomock Area YMCA, and Caitlin holds the same role at the Invencis Foxborough Branch. At the Vernon Family Branch of the Y, Lauren works to reduce youth inactivity and poor nutrition in the YMCA and in neighboring communities. Some of her programs are Safe Routes to School walking school buses, nutrition detectives, 12-week intervention programs for overweight or obese youth, nutrition counseling, and youth group fitness classes. She also facilitates task forces in the community. Caitlin Hurley does similar work at the Foxborough branch of the Y. Her work on Safe Routes to School is part of the Hockomock Healthy Futures, which is the Hockomock Area YMCA's approach to combating youth inactivity and obesity. Healthy Futures focuses on prevention through Safe Routes to School programs, fitness days, and youth classes, intervention through parent-led classes for children with high BMIs, and sustainable change through promoting wellness policies and complete streets. She's been working with Safe Routes to School since June of 2009, and she now works with 7 elementary schools in Foxborough, Sharon, and Mansfield. And next we'll hear from a presentation, we'll hear a presentation from Martin Levins. Martin is a business owner and a resident of Marlborough, Massachusetts, and is a founding member of the Marlborough Wellness Movement. In 2007, Martin attended the first annual Safe Routes to School Forum in Waltham and brought the Safe Routes to School program to Marlborough. So far, he has 6 schools signed up as partner schools, all participating at different levels. So with that, I'm going to pass the microphone on to Caitlin and Lauren. So take it away.
Hi, thank you. This is Lauren Marciszyn. Can everyone hear me?
Yep. Yes.
Yep,
Oh,
you sound great.
Okay.
Yes.
Caitlin, you can just open up the presentation by clicking the Hockomock YMCA tab up above.
Oh, great. So our hope for today is just to talk about how our YMCA has been involved in the Safe Routes to School program in our 15 communities and to share some best practices with you. As our YMCA, we mentioned, is part of the we have a Healthy Futures task force and movement to address inactivity and poor nutrition in our community. So through our Healthy Futures initiative and task forces in our community, we are positioned to help support the schools in our area, both with implementing Safe Routes to School programs, whether it's helping present to PTOs or to the school or meeting with principals, engaging families to be part of Safe Routes to School and educate them on the importance of it. We also can help provide additional volunteers through our community partnerships. So in this, we are really able to help promote physical activity for the kids, and much research will show that if kids can walk to and from school, they'll have an increased 24 minutes of activity a day, which is really helping address that, get to that hour a day or more. So I am going to pass it on to Caitlin to talk about some of the work we've been involved with.
So as Lauren mentioned, part of our Healthy Futures initiative is this idea of task force. And on this slide right now is just our list of who we have seen success with getting involved from the very beginning with Safe Routes to School. And as you can see, it's everybody from our Safe Routes to School outreach coordinators, us and our staff at the YMCA, to town administration, teachers, parents, different leadership groups, and local businesses. And there's different benefits and interests for everybody involved. Community officials, town administrators may be interested in the infrastructure aspect of it. From the YMCA, we are interested in helping promote the healthy habits, and teachers, other outside groups may be more interested in the environmental aspect. So again, getting the entire community involved, we've seen a lot of success with. So when looking to recruit volunteers, we have seen a lot of success reaching out to parents that are already very involved in something. So the parents that are already leading groups such as PTOs, school councils, coaches, PE teachers, and room parents, they seem to have the personality to be able to recruit other parents and get them involved with their connections. And when you go to recruit volunteers, looking to frame the conversation differently for all the different roles that people can have in Safe Routes to School, being upfront with time commitments, and also thinking outside the box. So Anna mentioned being creative with your Safe Routes to School program. So right now in Franklin, Lauren's working with a group of senior citizens who are volunteering with Safe Routes to School for a property tax work-off. And also looking at National Honor Society students, different Boys and Girls Clubs for community service hours. And right now you're just seeing a couple of pictures from Mansfield and Milford Elementary Schools. So the picture on the left is a drop-off site that we used in Mansfield, and as you can see there's a teacher there, 2 principals, and myself from the Y. So that just emphasizes the importance of the administration being involved and encouraging the students. And then the bottom picture, back to the creativity piece, those are 2 students literally making a walking school bus out of a box. So this next slide is something that Lauren and I developed to help other groups and organizations, parents, teachers, to kind of walk through the best way that we found success getting the community involved. So starting with getting the schools, either YMCAs, Boys and Girls Clubs, any of those outside groups together with the teachers and key parents. From the beginning, getting the police involved. We've both found a lot of success, again, with getting them involved from the very beginning. That is going to help parents when safety issues are addressed. It's a real comfort knowing that their kids will be safe walking to and from school. Getting the other school, or in our case YMCA staff, getting them assignments from the get-go so then we can relay to schools where there will be extra crossing guards, extra group leaders. Then reaching out to the parents and community. This is where we think it's important to do things face-to-face, so, kickoff events at PTO meetings, pep rallies, getting your community leaders involved, and then reaching out to the students. We have seen students get really excited, again, when it's face-to-face. It's not just a flyer going out saying, walk to school, support the environment, et cetera, et cetera. It's getting them really pumped up. And then lastly, reaching back out to the parents and community, so it's not enough if they hear about Safe Routes to School once or twice. You have to hit them from every angle, send out details of the event, try to recap how excited the students are, and just be able to answer any questions. And right there is also trying to get the press involved. And this is just a quick slide of one of the benefits of Safe Routes to School. So it's fun, of course, to have events, International Walk to School Day, Mass Walk to School Day, but the benefits of it go, far beyond that. And Mansfield was picked to receive a free infrastructure assessment in May, and that was, again, just due to their ability to try and sustain the program over the course of 3 years. And this was just an article about our collaboration with them and how the superintendent was very excited and supportive of their Safe Routes to School program. And this is a slide, again, talking about community involvement. We do something throughout our communities that we're working with right now where we invite our task force members, some of our executives from the Y, the superintendents, as guest walkers. So right there is our CEO of our YMCA and our state representative, Jay Barrows, greeting students at an elementary school as they walk in.
Additionally, looking at the task force, what's great, and when Caitlin mentioned framing the conversation, is that we were able to go to different businesses who are involved, and it provides them with an opportunity to be recognized in the community for being involved. So in one of our walks, we had 13 volunteers from Gorelick Farms come in and be corner captains during a walk. So just a way to frame the conversation to them, why should you be involved? And, you know, it looked great that they were out there and supporting the community. So something to think about when you're reaching out. This next picture is from a Milford Walks to School Day, and it was really great. We had a drop-off site. As you can see, we had a great turnout, and everyone in the vests that Safe Routes to School provided to us were there to volunteer. So there's superintendents, parents, principals, parent volunteers, YMCA. So it was just a great way to get everyone involved and excited.
So this slide right now has a picture of students and parents outside of a house in Foxborough, and this has been a real successful school. It's been parent-led with our support for the first couple events, and now they're trying to do a walking Wednesday, every Wednesday, by meeting in front of a parent's home. So again, just really important getting the right parents involved from the beginning to help sustain the program.
So just some key lessons we've learned through Safe Routes to School in our communities is that it really has to be a community-wide approach. It's not just one person or, you know, one school. We really need to help identify, you know, key champions within each school and each community, but it has to have more than that. You know, having our committees and task forces involved really helped us to engage the community and keep everyone excited. Working together, you know, what we've been able to do is really work around our Healthy Futures initiative and host events across our 15 communities. So, you know, Caitlin and I are both working to have the same event days at the same time and really get the press involved to promote it. And, you know, kids from different schools are excited because their friends are walking too. We have found that, you know, parents want to participate, but thinking again about, you know, what's their time commitment. So when we've approached them, one thing to consider is to try to get local neighborhoods involved. So if one parent can volunteer to walk with a group of kids one Wednesday a month, it's a little bit more manageable for working parents to consider that. And, you know, having the parents involved increases, you know, addresses the safety concerns that many have. We initially had found that a lot of parents would walk even when we had corner captains, so we really need people involved when the walking is happening. You know, and looking at the police again as people to be involved. In Franklin, they actually lead all of our walks with the kids, which is just, you know, one more way the kids get excited. They're out there with the police. Flyers have been effective in our communities. We actually, as a YMCA, will make them and, you know, distribute them to the schools. And what we've done is made it, you know, two sides. So the back is a good way to put a map on it and actually lay out what the walking route is so that in advance everyone knows where there'll be corner captains and what the designated route is if they want to jump in at any time. Corner captains, again, are effective but not alone. You do need people actually out there walking and increasing excitement and, you know, involving crossing guards and anyone else who's interested. You know, obviously, as much as we would like to think that we could do it alone, we need the parent involvement. So the more people you can tell about the program and get involved, the better. For many schools, you will need drop-off sites, so it's good to get out there, go on a walk, you know, get the superintendent involved, get principals involved, and do a walkabout and see, you know, what are potential options for kids who live outside that 1 to 2 mile radius who want to be involved. I would definitely consider reaching out to your YMCA or, you know, if it's not a YMCA, a Boys and Girls Club. You know, as a YMCA, we do have a movement nationally called Activate America. So it's very likely that this is something that your YMCA would want to be involved in. So, you know, you might want to reach out and see who's available to help you with that. they're great to take off the pressure of principals and schools who are already, maxed out on time commitment so that we can help do that for them.
And also, being such a community-driven organization, we have those community relationships with our community officials, but also the relationships with the parents. So, if principals have a hard time recruiting parents to get excited about this, we have the programs in place already. We have the relationships, we have the staff. So it's a really good way to help market Safe Routes to School programs, but also just get the kids excited within the YMCA too.
So next steps, if you're looking to start the Safe Routes to School program or just keep it active, reach out again to your local YMCA to help get this program running. And some departments you might want to look to could be the health and wellness. Caitlin and I's position is a little unique to YMCA's, but there's likely to be a community outreach person, school age or after school programs, as well as the teen department, one for volunteers, but also just to help support your program. So if you might want to visit ymca.net to find your closest YMCA and set up a meeting to see if you can get people involved. Thank you.
Thank you, Caitlin and Lauren. That was really fantastic. I just want to remind all of our participants, if you have any questions for the speakers or for any of us, please, in the lower right-hand corner of your screen, there should be a chat option. You can chat to us, and we'll have a Q&A session at the end. So without further ado, I'm going to pass the microphone to Martin Levins. Martin, are you there?
Yes, I'm here, Ben.
Wonderful. And I think we're just going to pass the presentation capabilities to you in 1 second.
Great,
Caitlin,
thank you.
If you haven't done that yet, you can. Yep, he's got it. Wonderful.
Great. So I'm just going to click into my presentation. Hopefully that is coming up now.
Things look good.
Great. Well, thank you for the opportunity to talk about what we're doing here in the city of Marlborough. Where this really started was a wellness program that the city got involved in. And what I mean by the city, I mean the residents. I mean the business people, our teachers, our PE teachers, our nurses, and parents, just to see what we could do to impact the seriousness of obesity in the kids in the city. I attended, as you mentioned, the first Safe Routes to School forum, which was fantastic and seemed to fit so wonderfully well into what we were trying to do here in Marlborough that I brought it back to our wellness committee and we talked about it and we figured out how can we actually implement this. One of the things that Anna mentioned as well is the uniqueness not of each program, not only of each program throughout the state, but we found within our schools ourselves. We have 10 schools in Marlborough, both public and private, and as we went to each school, we figured out fairly quickly that having a school wellness council within each school was really the way to go. Each school is so different. Even though one elementary may look like another elementary, its makeup and its feel and how it can participate in certain activities certainly seem to be unique to that school and not really one way fits everybody. So as we went through and started to implement our programs, and here an example of some of the programs we have working in our schools at the moment. The Safe Routes to School initiative really started to take off. We have 3 elementaries who are running Walking Wednesdays. Again, the difference being we have one particular school who started on Tuesdays for a year and then switched to Wednesdays, and then some of them did it on Thursday for a bit. So it sort of fitted into whatever each of these schools wanted to do. But 3 elementaries are walking to school. We have our middle school walking to school. And we have our Walk Across America program, which we typically run over the summer period, again, just to keep the kids connected to exercise and programs as well. We have one of our parks here in Marlborough with a quarter-mile track on it, out sort of in the open and in a wooded area, which is nice to walk. So the kids all come together and from all of our schools and they walk around for about an hour or so and get some activity in the summertime as well. But to mention more about how each of our schools function with our walk to school days, typically on Wednesdays, We have one elementary, for example, with 4 different starting points. So the kids in the different neighborhoods start to gather at those, typically some parent's house, and 4 different areas walk into the same elementary school. We have another elementary school where it's one meeting place, and that works very well for them. So everybody gathers at the one spot, and they all walk to school together on Wednesday morning. Our middle school, with the kids being a little older, we actually have multiple drop-off points. So we have a number of parents who will be there each Wednesday to walk with the kids, but we use that also as a drop-off point. So the parent can drive the kid to the drop-off point, and the parents there then will sort of take charge of them and walk with them, being a little older. But it really fit in well to a lot of what we did, and it encouraged other programs to get started. Our parents have been wonderful in all of our schools as we get through here. One of the things now we're beginning to work on is a community bus stop, so that our walking school buses are not at the other end of the bus, if you wish, but they're also at the start. We have roads here in Marlborough where the bus stops seems every 100 feet. So what we're looking there to do is, can we have a community bus stop where when you come out of your house, you actually now begin your walking school bus. You walk to community bus stop, and then the bus can take you into school. So the idea here is that we not only have walking school buses, walking from a drop-off point to school, but we actually have people walking from their house to a community bus stop as well. How we reach our city is through a lot of community events. We have a Heritage Festival here. Our hospital runs a Safe Summer Festival. We have an Earth Day, neighborhood associations. I think through the Wellness Initiative, we have a Bike Marlborough group that has started up, so they're teaching kids how to ride bikes. They have events. AAA has been wonderful, coming into our classroom and teaching safety on pedestrian and bike usage as well. So we really try and leverage any activity within the city to have a presence there and reach new parents all the time and let them know what we're doing and how we're doing it. And again, we're open to all ideas, because as a general overall committee, we can say, well, here's a new activity you may wish to participate in, and perhaps 2 of our schools take it up and do it, or maybe 5 of our schools take it up and do it. But because each school has a wellness coordinator and counselor within itself, they know what works best and when it works best with them. We've had a number of community partners come in, of course. Again, our hospital has been wonderful. The Lions Club we have engaged as well. They come out and help us with our walking lunch bunch. We're in a couple of our schools where they don't get a lot of recess or breaks. They're coming up and helping supervise walks during that period as well. We also started forward to in having the ability to, we have our Marlborough Wellness website. We put up a Facebook page. We're currently in development for a wellness TV show on our local access, cable access as well. So again, these are all ways to have people be able to reach us without touching an individual. We're always here to help, but at least they can go onto a website or Facebook and see what activities are going on, where the drop-off points are, what routes they can get into walking school buses into school as well. We have been fortunate to not only have received an infrastructure assessment, but we're actually in the process now of going through the development of one. One of our elementaries is going to have a fairly significant facelift, if you wish, in the front of the elementary school to facilitate crosswalks, and again, these routes coming in. And this is the one where we have 4 different routes coming in on our Walk-in Wednesdays during the year. We are also pretty active in seeking out grants or funding or aid to grow our programs. We have a Marlborough Public Schools Foundation, which has been very supportive of stipends for teachers or buying equipment to really enhance these programs as we continue to grow them through our schools. Here are some examples of our Walk-in Wednesdays. Again, right now we have 4 schools very active in Walk-in Wednesdays, 3 elementaries, one middle. We have another middle school, high school that we're really initiating, getting started now. There's been a lot of city infrastructure, road work, etc., around that school. So now that that has all calmed down, we're looking at launching in the springtime to get their walking school bus going. But the kids love this. The kids have a great time. They get a chance to meet with their friends and chat with their friends. We found that other community benefits where the parents met each other and talked to each other as they walked to school. Our police department has been tremendously supportive as they come out and support our events all the time. I remember one of our elementary schools where we started the very first day, the police department sent down the motorbike and the kids were just beside themselves with excitement. So all those little things have helped as we've gone along here. All the little rewards that we get from mass rides, the kids love collecting them, whether they're the snap-on bracelets or the silicone or the zip pulls, whatever it may be. And one of the things that we found too when we started, as the first group entered school and a school bus would pull up and see these kids walking to school, all the kids would want to know, why are they walking, how can we participate, how can we get involved. So it really grew like that. One of our schools started literally with 12 people walking. That school now at any given Wednesday will put about 150 people walking to school. And before we stopped for this winter, we had about 450 kids walking to school each Wednesday, which is great to see, and we continue to expand that. Participation, we like to bring in sort of attractions, if you wish. So our school mascot works. We reach out to the Tornadoes in Worcester, who would send over their mascot to work with us, as you can see there. We reached out to the Sharks in Worcester, who sends Finns from time to time to walk with us. We like to try and get our city officials out, our mayor or councillors, whoever it may be, just to walk with the kids and make a bigger deal out of it as well. The other thing, as I mentioned, we spend a lot of time and focus on is our awareness or educational seminars. We try and hold a couple of these each year. And again, we're really not in our schools doing this, we're in the community, because we're looking for our parents and our business leaders and our community to get involved as much as this. One of the things we went out to the schools with very early on is that we promised them not to ask for money, and we promised not to take their time away. We just really wanted their permission to do a lot of these activities in and around the school. The picture on the right there you see are in our local library here. We created a display again, and we were allowed to post that or put that up for a month. So again, we would look sort of around August or September to start putting that in the library, so that when we're reinitiating all the walking school buses and other activities in the schools, people can see what we've done and how we're doing it. And lastly, I just wanted to show you one of our other great projects where we got the kids involved with, again, exercise, wellness type of things, and we actually put up a community garden in our middle school. So the kids came along and helped build and plant and maintain this. It's now a year old, so we're actually very proud that it has lasted, and we look forward to it. It has produced fruit. The middle school principal integrated this into the curriculum of the school. So now the kids there not only are involved in the walking school bus and their activities, but they have a garden which they look after as well. So again, thank you very much. That gives you sort of an overview of what we're doing here in Marlborough. I think we found that not only each time I interact with Safe Routes to School communities out there, either through the annual forum or things like this, I learn an awful lot of what other people are doing. So it really is about being creative. We found that each of our schools are so different in how they react to walking school buses or Walk Across America programs or exercise programs or nutrition education that we can provide in each school. So learning from our other communities, our Safe Routes to Schools community, has been great for us too. Thank you, Ben.
Thank you so much, Martin. That was wonderful. If you could just provide the the presentation capabilities, thank you. Hold on one sec, folks. All right. So now we'll be opening up the presentation for discussion. If you'd like to submit a question, please click the chat button in the upper right-hand portion of your screen. It also might be in the lower right-hand corner, depending on your computer. You may have to hit escape to exit the full screen mode, so just simply press your escape button and that should do the trick. Once you've clicked the dialog box, please, once you've clicked the question and answer button, a dialog box should appear where you can type your question and then click ask. So we'll try to get through as many questions as possible. All right, so our first question that's come in. I guess it's a pretty simple question. Why do you guys do this? What's your personal motivation or goal? And either Lauren or Caitlin or Martin, any of you guys can take this on.
Sure. Obviously, as a YMCA, we're committed to it and being involved. But personally, I think so often, especially in the intervention programs that Caitlin and I run, we see kids who are just really unwilling to consider activity. So if we can try to instill the importance of being active earlier on and let them consider the idea of walking as a mode of transportation, then we're helping them, for their entire life to think about how can I just walk somewhere instead of, being in a car, having someone drive me, or just instead of sitting in front of the TV. So trying to just really get them thinking about being outside, being active, and being involved with their friends or the community at large. So I think that would be our reason. I don't know if Martin has something separate.
Yeah, thank you. I think one of the things we learned earlier on, which I think shocked a lot of people, was not only the inactivity, as you mentioned, the obesity that really has inflicted America, right across America. And I think a lot of parents sort of thought, well, what can I do? We all looked at each other in I suppose, typical fashion and said, well, it's not my child. Well, it's all of our children, all of the kids in our community. So I think from that point of view, safe routes to school and getting our kids back to just a habit, a regular habit and a normality of walking, biking, the difference between, I think, my generation, my children's generation, in how they perceive being out, playing on the street or in the parks or with other kids is quite extreme. So I think from our perspective, being able to, engage and the joy on their faces when you run these programs too is tremendous.
Thank you, Martin. Our next question that's come in asks, how long was the process to get support from community leaders to get the events going? So how long did it take you guys?
We found, if I may, again, it's Martin here. It took about a year and a half, I would say, to really get some of our programs entrenched. We did this really with the people in the community, the parents in particular. Our schools have been very supportive as far as principals, superintendents. City officials, school officials are aware of what we're doing, but it's because of the parents that these things have sustained. One thing that we're sort of 3 years now at this, and one thing that we have really noticed is if a parent with significant participation moves from an elementary to middle school, you really got to watch how you backfill that person, because it really is about an individual parent and how much they can give and how much they can influence.
Thank you. We've got a question about inclement weather. So what do you guys do when it's snowing or when there's rain? How do the programs go on in the Hockomock area and also in Marlborough?
Hi, this is Caitlin. We actually learned the hard way. In one of our first International Walk to School days, it poured, and we hadn't really put a process in place or a communication plan in place or anything like that. So what we've done now district-wide, so all the schools that participate, at least in Foxborough, Mansfield, and Sharon, we do a rain date on the flyer, on any communication that goes home, and that way parents know if, it's raining, it's snowing, we aren't doing the walk, and we also post on our website. So I would suggest schools, trying to get some key person or contact person either, at the organization you're working with or on the school website to also make some type of announcement.
Yeah, we're kind of similar as well. We post on our wellness website that morning if anything has been cancelled due to weather, and also our Department of Public Works have been very good because they know the school routes which we do the walk-in school bus with. So if we have issues of snow, whatever, they're good to be clearing those for the kids to walk on the footpaths too.
Thank you, Martin. I've got a general question for the three speakers, excuse me. You guys have done this a lot. You guys are veterans of Safe Routes to School in your communities. Maybe give us one example of something you learned that you wouldn't do again, that didn't quite work out. Oh, we got no takers?
I'm not sure if there's a particular thing that we wouldn't do again. We have, I can tell you there's been a number of times where we've had to restart walking school buses for various reasons, whether it was parent participation dropped off or you know, whatever the case may be. Patience and time are certainly, you know, something that you need to have as this continues and sustains. But I don't think, Ben, there's any one thing that we, you know, wouldn't try again.
Great, thank you. I mean, I think so many people on this presentation are looking for a way, for an opportunity to get started in their community. So I think it's exciting that they have, you know, veterans of the trade already to ask questions right now. I've got a question coming in. How do you get past resistance concerning safety from town officials and police? And Martin, I know you guys in Marlborough have worked really well with the police force. Maybe you could describe a little bit of those efforts and maybe talk about how you've worked to reduce some of the resistance to safety and all that.
Yeah, certainly. One of the things we came up against was, you know, this safety issue. How can you put so many children on the street and, you know, expect them all to be safe? Our police department has been tremendously supportive from day one. I'm not sure, I think at times they understood what they were quite getting themselves into, because we literally started with one route and one school, and now at this point we probably have somewhere about a dozen different routes and drop-off points in the city on any given Wednesday morning. And they continue to be very supportive. Our schools were fine. We got buy-in straight at the superintendent level. We went to the top, and, you know, initially we signed up all of our public schools, for example, the elementaries and then the middle school. So we got the buy-in from the top down. So when we approached the principals of an individual school and said, you know, this is what we'd like to do, again, the things we promised, we're not asking for money, we're not asking for your time, we know you're busy, we just want your permission or make you aware. Now, most of our principals come out and walk with the kids. They love doing it. We have principals who will literally initiate a new route. They will go down and stop a school bus and ask the parents for permission to walk to school with them. So that's how far we've come from the initial resistance of, you know, is it going to be safe to put us, you know, to let the kids walk.
Excellent, thank you. So both presentations discussed how they involve people maybe outside of the normal school community. In Hockomock, you guys used people from Gorelick Farms. In Marlborough, you guys used the Elks Club. Maybe you could talk a little bit how you approached those groups, how you got them on board. I know it's really interesting when we can get people from all different populations and all different age groups involved in this effort, because really we found that it works really well beyond just the school. We like to promote it on the community level. So maybe both of you could talk about your experience recruiting those groups and working with them going forward.
This is Lauren. We were able to, you know, approach them obviously because they were partners in our task force, but also not trying to overwhelm them with the commitment. So when we reach to some of those groups, we look at specific event days. So whether it's International Walk to School Day, Mass Walk to School Day, or some of the others that we have focused on, we have a Healthy Kids Week. So different things like that, and approach them during those times. Versus expecting them to be involved every single week. We really look to the parents and then to the YMCA for more of the routine walks, you know, and approaching it as a great way for press, for involvement, and for support in in Healthy Futures. We also, for their own concerns, speaking specifically to the walk that Gorelick was involved in, we partnered with the police department because obviously there are issues of concern, and they were concerned about what are their roles, what are their expectations. So the police chief came in and actually gave them a little tutorial about what the expectation was around walking, and that not actually stopping traffic, but to alleviate their concerns helped, because I think that did come up. But those, really just the simple ask. I think it never hurts to ask someone, and, worst that they can say is no.
Great.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's amazing what happens if you actually just ask. Our Lions Club got involved here because our walking lunch bunch really did not have the parent support, the parent availability. We had parents who wanted to come, but walking in the morning, time-wise, seemed to work a lot better for them. So we didn't have a whole lot of parents with time available at lunchtime. So I approached our Lions Club and said, do you think you'd have volunteers? And that's how they got involved. Our hospital, our local Marlborough hospital, part of the UMass group, they came to us and wanted to get involved. They heard about what was going on. And, of course, it gets great awareness when you've got hundreds of kids walking to school around the city, and then you give a morning. You get a lot of awareness that way. But really it was going out and asking people to participate.
Wonderful. We're getting a couple questions about when these PowerPoint slides will be available. I just want to let everyone know that this presentation will be available on our website, commute.com. Hopefully we'll have it up pretty soon. So if you have to leave now, or if you missed the beginning of it, don't worry, you'll be able to watch it again. So we've got a question on sustainability. Polly asks, she says these programs really tie in a lot of community groups and also depend on ongoing time commitments from key individuals. So what was each presenter's program's key to sustainability once the programs were underway?
It's Martin here again. Yes, sustainability not only was an issue up front, Polly, but continues to be, and I'm not sure if that will ever stop. I mentioned about how parents, move their energy from one school to another school as the kids grow and go through elementary, middle, and high school. So it really is getting more and more people involved as you start to grow and as you get independent programs running. We found people in our community participated in some things or in all things, but if people had an idea for an activity at a given school, we really wanted to support them because it's their energy that's going to make that work. And one of the things that we watch out for as best we can is how to continue to support them as they need time off per se, and that event or that activity doesn't slide away.
Great, thank you. We've got a question about the recent BMI testing requirements for schools. I guess, has anyone come across any instances where Safe Routes to School programs have really been viewed as a positive step in reducing the BMI levels of youth? I know that's coming up soon, so I'm wondering if either of you folks have encountered such issues.
What we have done with the BMI letters and, our work with the schools is try to approach them when they're writing the letter to frame it in a way that they're being proactive about what they can do to address the issue. So whether it's putting resources of our 12-week intervention program or saying that they're partners in Safe Routes to School, but using it as a way to increase involvement in Safe Routes to School, but also to, to show the action that the school is taking to try to improve the health of kids today. So that's one way that we've sort of tagged on the Safe Routes into the BMI reporting.
Yeah, from our point in Marlborough, we actually have all the history. We've written reports at this point on the BMI statistics. We know where the kids are, what direction they're moving in, where our biggest issues are. We know issues moving from elementary to middle school, that transition area there. Even though we're doing this 3 years, we don't have enough behind us yet to actually say these things are making an impact. We feel they are. The teachers are telling us that the kids who do walk to school are far more attentive and far more energized in the classroom first thing than the kids who simply just get dropped off by the bus. We have a lot of anecdotal information telling us we are doing the right things, including the safe routes to school. But we are actually leveraging or using that data, very clearly here in Marlborough to show the principals and show the educators that, yes, exercise, wellness, all these things are going to help the kids learn better. So hopefully, 5 years, 8 years down the line, we can come back and say, here are programs that significantly made a difference in obesity and therefore education with our kids.
Thank you, Martin. We've got a question about Cori checks. Do either of your communities require Cori checks for volunteers? How does that process work or not work for you guys?
This is Caitlin. I can speak for Lauren and I. The reason we emphasize our YMCA staff being volunteers and a lot of the PTO parents is because the parents are Coried through the school. We are Coried through the school when we go into work, but also our YMCA volunteers and staff members are also Cori and Soried. So again, that's a real benefit to reaching out to your local organizations.
Yeah, same thing here. Any of our parents who are volunteering and go into the school, we have a number of programs that happen on school property in the gyms before and after school, are all Coried. The parents who simply walk and are walking school buses and go, from a drop-off point to the school and back home again, are not necessarily Coried, but certainly the people who enter our school buildings and grounds are.
Thanks, Martin. And I guess we just have time for one more question, so give it your best shot, presenters. What concrete methods did you use for outreach? So did you use email, flyers, word of mouth? What worked best? What didn't work? I think there are a lot of aspiring Safe Route School communities on the phone today who are interested in how it works. So give them some quick tips if possible.
This is Caitlin. I found success in really trying to do face-to-face communication, so attending PTO meetings, doing assemblies with the kids. So like that communication slide that we presented, really trying to hit every angle for all the different populations. Our marketing director also has the ability to send out email blasts. We did flyers, we did PTO news blasts, literally any method of communication possible, I think we tried to use. But I can't stress enough the importance of trying to get the kids excited, whether it's going to recess, talking to them, lunch, pep rallies, whatever it is, because I think that's how the parents are going to hear about it, and just a flyer in the backpack I don't think is enough to get the program started.
Yeah, I agree very, very much with that. We've sent flyers out to, parents in one school of 1,200 kids, and it was one of those things where why did we waste our time and energy on that? Peer pressure is a wonderful thing. When you have 10 kids in one class walking to school on Wednesdays, the rest of the classroom wants to know why they're not doing that. And I think it's a great way to get the parents involved when their children are asking, Mommy, Daddy, I want to walk to school with my friends on Wednesday. So we've had afternoon programs where the child has gone home on a school bus to only remember that they were actually supposed to be in one of our programs after school, made the parent drive them back to school again. So I think, what you're hearing is being in the school with recess or before or after works better than flyers. Emails, flyers, in general awareness is great, and I think it's not something that you should stop or not try. But certainly I agree that face-to-face is the best way to get things moving.
Thank you, Martin. So unfortunately, that's all the time we have for today. I'd like to thank Caitlin, Lauren, and Martin on behalf of our audience, and thank you to all of our attendees for listening. If you want to review any of this material on your own, a recording of the webinar will be available on our website, www.commute.com. And also, please watch for an email in which you'll be able to evaluate this webinar. We're always looking for ways to enhance our offerings, and we really value your input. If any of you guys wrote questions that you didn't have a response to during the presentation, we're going to do our best to get back to you today with that information. And again, if anyone wants to be part of Safe Routes to School that isn't or wants to work with us, we'd be more than happy to come out to your community and meet with you and discuss how we can help. So thanks again for attending, and if you haven't done already, please contact Mass Rides to implement Safe Routes to School in your community.